एक ही लाइन में there is a South Indian temple, there is a Tao temple also, and there is a masjid also, and they all have the same color, same bricks, same theme, you can say. So it's वो देख के I think it should sum up Malaysia in a very good way, that this is what Malaysia is.
How did you plan your travel, like, because there are so many places to visit? Like, what was your, like, how did you plan your travels?
I'd never been to Malaysia, so I didn't know exactly. So of course Google Map to the rescue. Google Map से देखा कि what is the structure of the peninsula like, where do we land, what are the main airports. Of course Kuala Lumpur was the key airport, तो entry or exit उधर से करनी थी. I realized that I could only do one side of the country because it's again so vast. When you actually zoom into a particular location and जब आप देखते हो कि where all can you go, you know. So in my head I was like, okay, let's be very honest and let's just do one side of the country, which is also quite extensive. So I landed in Kuala Lumpur. I covered Cameron Highlands, I did Penang, I went to Ipoh, and I came back to Kuala Lumpur. It just made sense to just from a first trip just to do one side of it, learn about the food, learn about the culture, experience it, and come back with those memories, and maybe in few months or years do another trip that will be dedicated to a different side of Malaysia, you know?
So how did you travel through Malaysia, like through the different places?
In my head, and मैंने जितना पढ़ा था उसमें, I figured out that Malaysia has a great road and rail network. As it turns out, I think if I'm correct, I took 4 journeys in bus, all great journeys, and one return journey from Ipoh to Kuala Lumpur was train. That's it.
What was your first impression of Malaysia, like when you landed, whatever it is, like what was the first impression like?
I actually look forward to that, how comfortable it makes me feel, because it's a new place, you don't know. It's as simple as कि कितना currency utilize होने वाला है आज, you know, how are the people at airport, at the bus station. So my impression was very good, friendly people. I was just surprised that there was so much of Indian people out there. So वो एक kind of comforting factor था उसके अंदर, to be very honest, that oh, there are Indian people, so this is going to be very smooth in that terms, you know. Just to realize it's more of Tamilians, South Indian, so still.
Language wasn't a barrier.
Language wasn't a barrier. Surprisingly, everybody spoke English, and it's not that कि broken English था, but everybody understood each other's dialect and accent, you know. So communication-wise, very easy to get information and to travel anywhere that you wanted.
Malaysia being like I think it's almost like a fusion, because it has a lot of different influences in terms of like spices, religious variations भी बहुत सारे. It's almost like India, you have every single kind of population there. So how was the experience culinary-wise?
This is what Malaysia is. It's very highly tolerant to each other. Everybody just coexists. Food as a result of all of this is like a, not, I wouldn't say fusion, but एक दूसरे से बहुत ज़्यादा inspiration लिया हुआ है. Of course, predominantly you do find Chinese cuisine or immigrants who are from different parts of China. इन लोगों ने यहाँ का spices थोड़ा use करके, वहाँ का technique use करके, they've come up with their own cuisine, like a Baba Nyonya cuisine, you know. So what you can expect in a Baba Nyonya kind of cuisine is that you get Chinese cooking with influences of Malaysian and Indian ingredients or technique also in that case, you know. Kind of a mixture. It's slowly adapted over many years. I didn't do good research on this, and I was very surprised कि इतना सारा डोसा मिलने वाला था ये ट्रिप के ऊपर. Dosa is slightly different, served with a good amount of sambal, and chutney नहीं था उसके अंदर. You can find this at every corner. You'll get your dosas, you'll get your rice, and most of these places will have like a buffet kind of system जहाँ पे you'll find everything from boiled eggs to 5-10 different types of gravy. You'll also find poppadom in that fusion of all different cuisines, because you'll get fried chicken, which is kind of having an influence from Indonesia. You'll get the idli, you'll get the idiyappam, you'll get the rice, you'll get sambar, and then you'll get a lot of curries also. Like a lot of curries also have Thai influence on it, you know. immigrant food is also there, so do find in certain pockets of the city, especially Kuala Lumpur, you'll find Lebanese people having opened up shawarma stalls, which are like proper authentic ones. So really good.
Book hotels? Did you do hostels? Did you do Airbnbs?
I think this will be like a proper plug to hostel world in my case, because हर time जब international travel था, especially Southeast Asia, I always think about hostel world because it exists in all the major cities or even the tier 2 cities में hostel world है ही है. I am like a backpacker, so I love all of these hostels. I always knew Airbnb में Airbnb experiences होते हैं. So that's how I met Ben and I met Mike. If I'm correct, Ben, I never asked him what his real name was or his Malay name or his Chinese name was, but Mike was Iftikhar, born to a Pakistani dad and a Malaysian mother. So that was very interesting. That itself tells you how intertwined the whole fabric is, With Ben, I had gone trekking. He took me to a great trek just outside the city. It was called the Dragon Back Trail because if you see it from a distance, it looks like a dragon's back. Chote peaks hote hain. It was a 2-hour trek going up, 2-hour trek coming back. It takes you to a point where you can see, if I'm correct, Genting Islands on one side, and you'll see the Kuala Lumpur city on one side, and that Dragon's Back is what divides the city and the forest side or the forest reserve side, With Mike/Iftikhar, he took me around the old town, showed me all the historic places, took me to a nice old Chinese tea shop that he has been visiting since many years. Ended up in this old burnt down cinema house, which is now converted into kind of a cultural space for youngsters, which has an amazing, very unique library. Imagine a cinema hall जिसकी पूरे walls पे books है, and it has been partitioned into a library.
Kuala Lumpur is like a proper city. Like it is like a hardcore city. How was Penang different?
मैं actually थोड़ा apprehensive था about going to Penang because the kind of information that I was getting through YouTube and also this it was painted like a tourist city. You have to go, it is Pearl of the Orient and something उसका कुछ nickname है. I ended up cancelling 2 days from my other destination and adding it to Penang because I felt कि इधर देखने के लिए तो बहुत कुछ है, करने के लिए बहुत कुछ है, and every day I felt like I was in a different different geographical location because Penang is like जहाँ पे मैं रह रहा था, which is called Georgetown, is like the old touristy part because of course that's where all the hostels, all the Airbnbs are there. That's where all the historic monuments and buildings, and I think Georgetown is also known for all the murals and wall paintings that it has, and of course Penang has the southernmost tip as a as a forest reserve. So it has a sanctuary, and so if you want to travel to the southern tip, you have to drive around the entire island and then reach. So there is no shortcut that passes through the town. I did make like a picnic out of that one day where I packed up some sandwiches, some cold drink, water, hat, वगैरह सब sunscreen लगा के bike rent करके I drove for 1.5 hours. It was worth it. With of course Malaysia being extremely humid, weather is unpredictable. Sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's hot and sunny and it's raining. So you always need to have a poncho. Fortunately, the guy who rented me the scooter / motorbike, he gave me all the essential things.
At the end of the experience, the vacation, what if someone wants to, like, if I want to travel to Malaysia tomorrow, what do you recommend, or what pointers would you have for someone like that?
In terms of local recommendation, I think Kuala Lumpur, if I have to talk about it, offers everything for every budget of traveler. You can check into a great tall skyscraper also. I was fortunate कि मैंने जो hostel book किया था, that was on the 40th floor up into a penthouse. So you can imagine it is the last floor with infinity swimming pool and all. Highly recommend that you look for a good hostel or a good service apartment. You'll find it for quite cheap. The best part about Malaysia was the e-scooters that you can rent. You just have to download the app. You can travel within a good 7-8 kilometer ka distance. Of course, you exit that distance, scooter band ho jati hai. You have to get it back into that area and it starts again. Otherwise, of course, like I said, Penang, of course, jana chahiye to experience what Malaysia has to offer in terms of forests, great beaches. If you are on the east coast, west coast, I think food-wise, you will experience almost the same kind of variety or variations that you would experience in Kuala Lumpur or Cameron Highlands or Ipoh or Penang, But I think Cameron Highlands I didn't speak much about. That was one place that I stopped with. It's around 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours away from Kuala Lumpur. It's like their Lonavala. So that's the only place where you would not sweat. I was not sweating because the weather was 12 to 16 degrees. So highly recommend that. It's a small place. There's nothing much to do, explore tea gardens and stuff. But if you want to have like a quiet time to yourself, I think Cameron Highlands is highly recommended. If you are going to Penang, don't be surprised by seeing vending machines जिसमें Hot Wheels निकलता है, because it's manufactured there. So you'll find all the latest collections that come out in Malaysia. Definitely go through one of these experiences that can take you through the city, through the old town, through Rex Cinema. Like I would have never found Rex Cinema, if it was not for Mike or Iftikhar in that case, I think it's great to meet people who can give you these experiences. So I think that would be like last tip. Always go for one of these nice guided experiences, not one of the really touristy experiences, but some of the authentic one ki koi agar local apna time nikal ke aapko dikha raha hai, highly recommended. Hi, I know that ended a little abruptly, but I hope you guys liked the video. I wish I would have done a proper conclusion or an ending to each of these videos, but here we are. If you like it, do subscribe to the channel. It really helps me. And yeah, see you in the next one.